Well, that sucked. I'm recording this a few minutes after the actual state of play ended, while everything's still fresh, my impressions, my immediate gut feelings on everything. And I'm telling you now, this just either isn't for me or other people are feeling like this because this was so meh. Weren't anything genuinely awful, except Marathon calling it Season 2 Nightfall. That is just a slap in the face for all the Destiny 2 fans. For those of you who aren't aware, there is a game mode in Destiny 2 called Nightfall. It's been a very integral part of the game since Destiny 1. And so calling your new season of Marathon, the game that is now cemented and supplanted, whatever the word is, Destiny 2, calling your new season Nightfall is just a slap in the face, especially after all we've heard after the entire kerfuffle of the announcement of Destiny 2's end. But back to the actual state of play, it is just underwhelming. Admittedly, I am not the biggest PlayStation fan, though I do have my experiences with PlayStation. I loved my PS2 growing up, especially Kingdom Hearts was one of my favorite franchises, and for the longest time, it was exclusive to Sony. I had a PSP, which I enjoyed, once again, Kingdom Hearts on that, and many other PSP games. I didn't have a PS3 because the PS3 had no games, but for the vast majority of my life, my primary console was an Xbox before I made the transition to PC. I had a PS4 through my brother, and I enjoyed games like Bloodborne and Uncharted 4 and many other PS4 titles, and they were pretty good, though they all started to sort of feel the same by the end, and now with the PS5, I don't own one. And seeing all these games in the first 5 minutes were dedicated to Wolverine, which is just Marvel slop, and then the next 2 games after that were pretty much Marvel slop, and then we just got a bunch of Ghost of Tsushima clones with different varies of just scary to not scary to more Souls-like to less Souls-like, or including a child, which Sony tends to do for some reason. It just was so much of the same thing. A few standouts were that really cool sushi game that I'm not gonna play, and that really cool yokai game that I'm not going to play. And there's also a bunch of horror games. Until Dawn 2, which was unexpected, at least from my side of things. I didn't play Until Dawn 1. I'm not a huge horror game guy. So seeing all these horror games, well, interesting, not necessarily something I'm ever actually going to touch. Though it is nice to see Silent Hill get some love, especially after the entire disastrous side of things when it came with PT and how that was supposed to be a playable teaser, hence the name, for Silent Hill sequel or remake or whatever. And to see it finally getting new entry after so long is very cool. Though I don't know how dedicated Silent Hill fans are going to be, since it's not going to be the same main character. Seemingly supposed to be like a prequel to the entire thing, but I'm not entirely sure. So far all we know is the trailer, and it looks fine. And there were a bunch of other zombie adjacent games. They all sort of felt and looked the same. And then they ended the entire showcase with a 20-minute long just straight of gameplay for the new God of War game, which is just God of War, but instead of Kratos, you're his wife. Which admittedly was really cool, and hearing Jack Quaid's voice out of the blue cube was hilarious. If you guys don't know, he's from The Boys. He played Huey in The Boys, which recently ended, and he also played a character in the animated Star Trek show, Lower Decks, and now he comes to the video game screen to play Blue Cube. I don't know. This is really dumb to me. This entire thing, I like God of War, don't get me wrong, and this game seems to be really fun in terms of its combat, and the story could be potentially very interesting, but the blue cube is really dumb. Then slapping a very noticeable celebrity voice on it just feels like this is your new funny sidekick character who's going to be talking way too much for the vast majority of the story. A la Mushu or Donkey. Seriously, they talk way too much sometimes and pull away from the main story, which in some cases, like in those 2 examples, makes a ton of sense. It is a kid's sort of movie. So yeah, comic relief is going to be a big part of it. But this is, I believe, supposed to be a serious God of War game. So I don't know how much levity they're really supposed to be, at least tonally. And it's just, I don't feel like any of these games are what Sony needs to do right now. They have a massive PR, I wouldn't call it a nightmare, just PR thing to deal with Destiny, and just the overall disdain that pretty much everybody now has for Marathon because of what it did to Destiny. On top of that, all the controversy surrounding Bloodborne a while back, how they heard multiple pitches from, I think, is it Vicarious or Virtuous? Whoever did the Demon's Souls remake came to them and wanted to do a Bloodborne remaster or Bloodborne sequel, and just said no, which came right on the heels of the announcement of the Bloodborne movie or show. I actually don't really care. I'm not going to probably watch it at all, but it's just an endless onslaught of missed opportunities that Sony, frankly, is just stepping in on themselves. Like, all they really need is just to have a guy who's just a basic, your average gamer guy, just in the room. You're like, no, people don't want that. We don't want live service games a bunch. The only one we apparently do want is Destiny, because it's the only good one that isn't Fortnite. And Destiny 2 alone is a tragic tale of self-sabotage over and over and over again. If all they did was release this update or sprinkle what is half of this update through the last year, the game would be in a much better state now than it would have been otherwise. And seeing all these, I swear to God, I feel like half the entire state of play was games that are similar to Ghost of Tsushima. Games set in ancient Japan with a samurai or guy with sword fighting a bunch of guys with swords, whether also creature guys or just normal guys. Like, it is underwhelming to see so many of this most similar thing at the same time. Compounding that, seeing all this emphasis on Marvel's Wolverine, which I get might be for some people, but I don't care at all for these Marvel tie-in games. They got me with the first Spider-Man game. It was good. Spider-Man 2 and Miles Morales were also fine. But getting a dedicated game for Wolverine, I don't know if there's much substance. I'm sure the combat's going to be amazing. And assuming Insomniac is, I forget if they're actually the ones behind it, I forget. But if they're making it, it's probably going to be a great game. But I just don't care. I don't know what they can do to make me care. I don't know if it's just that as I'm getting older, I have less and less interest in gaming, or if it's the games themselves that I just can't find anything interesting about. Recent games I've played have been like Elden Ring, which was amazing. We've seen some amazing games come out, but just new titles in the last couple years have been so underwhelming. Even in franchises that I've loved for such a long time, like Borderlands getting its 4th game in its franchise, which is great. It's just also that game isn't particularly fun either. The combat is fun, the weapons are amazing, I like the new leveling system, I like the new skill trees, all that's fun, but the world is so empty. And that's what I could describe 90% of this state of play. Empty. The only thing that I think I'm actually going to enjoy playing is the new Rayman game. And even still, that comes with a big ol' asterisk because it's just a slightly 3D-ified version of Rayman Legends with a new story, obviously, and updated cast of characters, new voices, and all that. So it's going to be a fun game, but I want a new Rayman 2, essentially. I want another Rayman 3D platformer, not a new Rayman 2D game, which, when Rayman Origins and Legends came out, damn near over 10 years ago at this point, was charming to see a return to the classic Rayman format of a 2D side-scroller. I very much appreciated the transition into a 3D platformer. The original Rayman, while charming, wasn't really my kind of game. Rayman 2, The Great Escape, and all the ones that we got after were a lot of fun. And then the franchise went dormant for a very long time. It's a little all over the place, this video, just my immediate gut reaction, but like, this is just utterly underwhelming. And I get that this isn't necessarily made for me. I am not Sony's target demographic. I am not even a PlayStation 5 owner. But a lot of these games might, especially maybe Rayman, might end up being multi-platform anyways, because Sony doesn't own it, Ubisoft does. Now, I can't say for all the other franchises we've seen, all of those Ghost of Tsushima knockoffs, because I'm not even going to bother remembering all their names, but they're all probably PlayStation exclusive, and they're probably going to sell fine. And all of that is to say, like, this is just meh. For those of you who aren't hardcore Sony fans, I don't know what you have to actually play. If you own a PlayStation, what are you playing right now? And I bet like half of this stuff is still coming to the PS4, so little to no exclusive for the actual PS5 itself. We're a year away from the PlayStation 6, which God only knows how much that's going to cost given Sony's current sort of pricing scheme and constant upping of the price. So it really does look like Sony is not doing great, but being the best of the worst isn't ideal. Like, yeah, they're still the best-selling home console right now. They're still making the most money in their games in comparison to Microsoft. But that doesn't mean that they're doing great either, you know? Microsoft is at least attempting to make a comeback, and I actually believe with the current team at Microsoft, there's potential. As long as they get their freaking act together and make some games, there's potential. They have the franchises, they have the IPs, they have the capability, they have the studios to do it. It's if the management can get enough control back after pretty much letting them do their own thing for such a long time, and that resulting in basically nothing in the last 5-6 years, which honestly is probably says more about Phil Spencer than anything else. And Sony just sort of resting on their laurels and just sort of floundering at the top until maybe eventually stumbling into something worthwhile. Maybe Marathon all of a sudden kicks off and now they're on doing genuinely good again, but as things currently stand, I do not think that it's going to be the case, because Marathon is predominantly a PC game. The kind of game it is, the target audience, the people who play it are predominantly on PC, and the numbers aren't looking great. But I would love to hear what you guys think. Do you want Sony to start making different games? Do you want to see some other things? Do you want more information on existing titles? I would love to hear what you guys think about this down below. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All the social media garbage down below. And last and certainly not least, have a wonderful day.